Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Today we're going to be providing a quick and easy procedure to debadge your car.
Guess that I am wrong or how we're close now. I've been making my amends. Come and see. Where have you been off to now? Wait for me, dear beloved, lend me light as I wander off into the night, or I won't be found, or I won't be found, or I won't be.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. So debadging your car. So there's a separate debate around whether you should do this and whether or not you like the look of it. Personally, I do on some cars, and I've taken the badges off. On others, I like to keep them on. So you will all have our opinions on that. But today in this video, I want to cover how you should go about taking those badges off safely and reasonably in a time-efficient manner. Let's walk through each step that you're going to need to do when you remove these badges. First up, you need to clean the car, and you need to clean the area, if you're not going to clean the entire car, that you're debadging. The most important thing about that cleaning process is to try and get all of the debris out from underneath the badges. If it's an old car and those badges have been on there a long time, you'll see a lot of dirt on the paintwork around the badge, and you also see little bits of grit and dust, maybe even polish, all sorts of stuff stuck around the edge of the adhesive block behind the badge. So you can use soap, you can use shampoo, you can use APC, but the important thing is to get a hog's hair brush and try and clear out all of that debris and grit that's behind the badges first. Very, very important. Next step in this procedure, and it's an optional step, is to heat up the area where you're going to be removing the badges. And the purpose of that is just to really weaken the adhesive glue. Some of these badges have been sat on the car for years and years, and the glue is dried, it's stuck on there hard. And by heating it up, you soften it all and just make the removal process a little bit easier. You can use a hairdryer to do that, or you can use a heat gun. Obviously be careful when you're using a heat gun not to overheat the paintwork. You know, they kick out some serious heat, so you want to keep it moving and stay back. With a hairdryer, you're not going to really do any damage, but obviously it's not quite as potent, so you're going to be getting it a bit closer and it's going to be slightly slower. So that's the step, to heat up the badges and the surrounding area to weaken the adhesives. The next step is to actually remove the badge, and this is a very easy step. Now what I'm using for this is fishing reel, okay, so monofilament, not braided fishing line, so it's a single strand of high tension, very thin fishing line, and a reel of this, if you're not a fisherman, this will last you all your life, your detailing needs. A reel of this is about £3.50 delivered, so it's very cheap, and I'll put a link in the description of this particular stuff, which works extremely well. The main thing is it's so thin it can just slice through the gap between the adhesives and the actual badge, and it comes off with ease, and it won't snap unless you go crazy with it. So that's an important part of doing this. The alternative of not using the old kind of cheese grater method is you're going to be levering the badges off of the clear coat. Don't ever try and pick them off or lever them off. You know, I'm sure there must be someone out there that's tried to do this with a metal screwdriver and lever them back off, or get it behind and seen when it's damaged the paint. So by using the fishing line, you're not actually making any contact with the clear coat when you take these badges off. So there's going to be no risk of actually damaging the clear coat from trying to lever them off with something else. Also, there is a small risk whenever you lever something that's stuck down to clear coat that you can rip the paintwork off the car. Now 99 times out of 100 you should be fine. You know, if you've got your fingers behind these and rip them off, most times you'll be fine, but on older clear coats or refinished paintwork, and just any paintwork generally, there is a small risk that if you put a lot of force there, you could rip the paintwork literally off the car, and it will probably take the clear coat and the paint, and you'll see the primer. That seems to be the weakest point. And I've seen it before with test panels where I've stuck tape down on the test panels and left it there for weeks, and if you go in heavy-handed and rip it off, you can tear the clear coat off of the panel you're doing. So you need to be very careful whenever you've got adhesive stuck down to paintwork, and that's why we're doing this kind of cheese wire method, if you like. Right, the easiest thing, you do not want to be wrapping this cheese wire around your hand, this fishing line around your hand. I don't know why I keep calling it cheese wire. You want to be wrapping it around something, and in this video I'm using these non-marring tools. If you're into cars, these non-marring tools are an essential bit of kit if you ever want to take door cards off, or any component on the car it's got the little plastic kind of clips that you need to lever out, or you know, if you're touching clear coat and you need to pry stuff off, like the door cards. These non-marring tools are absolutely essential, and they're very cheap, so I'll find a link and stick those in the description. Something you should really have in your toolkit if you like to do a little bit of work on cars yourself. Anyway, you get about 2 foot of the fishing wire, you tie a knot in it, and then you wrap it so that there is no chance when you're kind of working it of the knot slipping. By winding it around these tools, there's enough friction there that it won't pop off. And then you get yourself a little kind of about 1 foot or just less than 1 foot of the fishing wire. You hook it over the badge, and the bit you're trying to cut is between the badge and the adhesive, okay? So you're getting as close to the badge as you can, rather as close to the clear coat as you can. Ideally, you don't touch the clear coat when you do this. You get the fishing wire over the badge. Once it's there, you just work it like a little saw, and this will slice through those badges very easy with hardly any force required. You know, you don't need to go yanking it or doing it hard, just very gently in a little bit of a sawing action, and once it starts to go, you'll slice through it like butter. Repeat that until all the badges are off the car, and then you are done with the tricky bit, the actual badge removal. Like I say, the key thing is to use this method as opposed to trying to prise them off or pick them off or something like that. The next step, once you've got the badges off of the car, is to then just eyeball the kind of adhesive backing block that's left stuck to the car. And what you'll probably notice is there's still dirt all around it that you can see a lot better now, mainly on the clear coat, but maybe you might even see some on the badge that just wouldn't come off when you cleaned it. So this is very important, because when you're taking this off, all of that grit and stuff that's in there is the stuff that's going to be scratching the car, not the actual rubber, not the mechanism that you're using it for getting it off. So try and get more of that off now by cleaning it. You can go back over it with your APC or some sort of detergent that's a little bit cleaner, and a microfiber or whatever, till you see the clear coat around the badge is clean. And also double check that there's not any more kind of grit in the badge that you just couldn't get out with the hog's hair brush. Once you've done that and given it another clean, at this point I would spray it with some tar and glue remover. Now I'm using AM tar because it's not overly aggressive, but it's still aggressive enough to start breaking down that glue. So it's AM tar and glue remover, sorry. So it's for this purpose. It's developed to be used on top of clear coat, safe enough that it's not going to damage your clear coat. There are more aggressive products than this out on the market, and there are less aggressive ones. I describe it as a kind of mid-range one that's got just about enough power there where it isn't too dangerous if it's left for a long time. So that's the AM Details tar and glue remover. Give it a little spritz over that panel and let it just work for a small amount of time. Be careful whenever you're using solvents on hot panels out in the sunlight, and you want to avoid them drying on that kind of clear coat. So spray it there, let it work, and then give it a little wipe over with a nice soft cloth. And at this point as well, because you're dealing with dirt on a panel, be careful when you're just removing it. Don't go in heavy-handed, because that's probably more likely to scratch than actually removing the adhesives themselves. So once you've got the area clean, you're now ready to take off the kind of remains of that adhesive kind of backing and the glue that's kind of left there. So I wanted to provide like a kind of professional method of this, and you see all the professional details using these fudge wheels or caramel wheels. So I bought the only one I could find over here in the UK, which is a Silverline one. I'll put a link in it to the description. It's about £5 delivered, so it's relatively inexpensive. Silverline do a lot of great kind of attachment bits, like these kind of nylon brushes that are good for rust removal or really heavily corroded exhausts and stuff like that, and lots of cool little tools Silverline do. So what I'll say about this rubber wheel is it strips the backing off of the clear coat very, very quickly, very efficiently. The rubber itself doesn't damage or scratch the clear coat. It's the grit you're going to be grinding on potentially, which is going to do that. So that's not a problem with this particular method. You know, however you take it off there, that risk is there of doing some fine scratching. That's why you always really need the capability of being able to machine polish after you've removed any of these badges. The problem I have with this is it leaves a trail of kind of caramel rubber, a very thin trail of it over the clear coat. The faster you work this tool, the harder you work it on that area, the more kind of this orange rubber it leaves behind. I was trying to use the clay lube to mitigate it, but you're kind of reliant on the friction of this against the actual block, so the clay lube doesn't actually help getting the thing off. So the key, I think, if you're going to use this is try and use it at relatively slow speeds, and don't go crazy with the pressure or anything like that, but you can just gently nibble away at it. If there is any yellow or orange kind of film left behind, it does compound out. It took about 2 sets of polishing to get that all off there, so it was fine, but I didn't expect it to do that. So I don't know if there's any better product recommendations out there, if there's other fudge wheels that are not caramel, you know, that might be white so it's less noticeable, but the problem is they're probably still going to be leaving the rubber there, but it's just harder to spot. So if you are using this method, just be aware of that, and you probably just need to make sure that once you've finished you give it a very good kind of machine polish to remove any rubber that's left behind, and of course any scratching. So we'll go on to talk about that in a little bit. The other method, if you don't want to use this caramel block, and it's the method I've been using all my life, and it doesn't sound very professional recommending this, but I've always just used tar and glue removers, microfiber, and I've picked it off. The main bulk of it I pick off with my thumb, and then what's left I use a little bit more tar and glue remover, and then kind of, you know, it breaks it all down, then you wipe it with the microfiber. That's not a very time efficient way of doing it, and I'm sure someone will say, well, that's really risky, you're going to scratch your clear coat. Well, the thing is, you're going to be compounding after it. The process of taking that adhesive block off the back of the car is probably going to be putting some scratches in your clear coat. Even if you spot them, you know, even if you've got the right light and you're looking at them, you might see them. If it's outside, it's going to be very difficult to see them. But the type of scratches that you are going to be putting in there, if you do it carefully, are the very fine ones that will come out. So let's go on to the next stage now that you've removed all of this adhesive block, and you've got a surface there that now needs to be kind of polished and brought back up. The next step, now the badges and the adhesive block are off of the clear coat, is you may notice like the paint underneath where the badges is the colour looks slightly different. The clear coat might even be a lot clearer than the clear coat around it, especially if you've got like black paint where you can see it, you know, you can see the hazing a lot more. So you might still be able to see some of the kind of the imprint of where the badges were. So the next step obviously is polishing, machine polishing that area to make that particular panel look decent basically, and get rid of any evidence that there was ever a badge there. Now, you can use any machine polisher for this. It doesn't matter if you've got a dual action polisher, if you've got a little compact portable rotary, that would be ideal. The little Roops Nano. I'm just using the 3401 here because I had a nice big area where the badge was where I knew it was going to work. Generally speaking, you can use whatever combination of abrasives and polishes that you feel suitable. If you see that there's a bit more correction that needs to be done, you know, and you've got some scratches there, you could go in with a heavy compound and refine it. Obviously that's going to take you a little bit more time. More often than not with this type of job, this one-step Scholl S20 is ideal because it's a mid-range kind of medium level of cut, and then it breaks down to a finish which is hard to tell. You know, your eyeballs will struggle to spot the difference in finish that this product leaves behind in a fine finishing polish. You might pick it up on a gloss meter, but your eyeballs are going to struggle. So you polish as appropriate. In this video I used the Flex 3401 with the Scholl S20 black, and I think I just did about 2 sets. One set would have done it in terms of correcting, but I had that trail of yellow rubber which just took a little bit of working to get out of the clear coat. The final step, once you've machine polished the debadged area to a level where you cannot see any signs of those badges ever being there and the paintwork's looking nice and shiny and consistent to the level that you want. The next step is put some protection down there, and obviously that's an optional step, but if the car's got protection on the rest of it, you've just machined off that protection. So if you know what's on there, you could put some more product on there. I just put some wax on there, Wax Planet Obsidian by Tony Coulson, the legend that is Tony, and some Wax Planet Polygloss spray wax detailer spray, and once that's settled down over the whole back of it, just to make the back of the car look shiny. So whatever product you want to use there, that'll be great. Obviously it's important to have your paintwork protected, and that's the fun bit of detailing as well. So that is it, you are done. My final kind of thoughts and the highlight reel of this video, the important thing, using the cheese wire method to cut them off is very important. You know, don't attempt to lever them off like I said earlier on. If you attempt to lever them off with any sort of tool, the number one risk is going to be kind of scratching the clear coat, and scratching it quite badly, where you might not be able to correct it with whatever tool you're using. But also the risk when you're prizing old glue off of clear coat, of the force that you're putting on that clear coat, and you're forcing it in the wrong direction, okay? Now I've never ripped paintwork off of a car, ever, but I've ripped it off of test panels a lot, and sometimes it comes off quite easily. So I'm very mindful that you can pull paint off cars, especially if the paint is old or if the paint potentially has been refinished. That's the two things I'm looking for, where the risk is perhaps higher. But let me know your thoughts on that, what you think about the sort of risk of actually pulling paint off of panels. But I'd be mindful of that particular thing when I'm doing this. The other thing about this video, the highlights thing, is the actual getting that adhesive block off of the clear coat. You know, this is the first time I've used the caramel wheel, and I wanted to use it because there's very few options out there, isn't there? So, you know, apart from the caramel wheel, the way I was doing it, like I say, was picking it off and using the tar and glue removers and microfiber and just trying to do it as carefully as I could. But that does take a long time, and it feels a bit Mickey Mouse whenever you're using the old finger tools. You know, I'm sure someone will say to me, you shouldn't be doing that, John, you know. But I really want to know, you know, I want to know. So let me know your thoughts. If you're a professional detailer and you're doing this week in and week out, what is your method? Put it in the comments. Do you use these fudge wheels? Have you got a better fudge wheel product? Maybe there's ones out there with better colours, but my thoughts are, it doesn't matter what the colour is, it's still leaving rubber behind on the clear coat. But it does come out with the compounding kind of polishing process. But I wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest with you, and it's always important to keep it real. So feed back your thoughts on all of this. Tell me how you do it, and I'm very interested if there's another little method that involves a tool, some sort of tool for getting that rubber off of the clear coat, and I can't think of any. You know, beyond using your finger to pick it away, what other option have you got? Like another form of eraser or rubber where you're rubbing at it? I don't think that's going to be aggressive enough, and you're going to need to pick it. So let me know if you've got any good solutions, and put them in the comments of this video so that everyone can see them. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching. So this was a video on a debadge procedure for your car. As always, there is a load of stuff coming up on the channel. I've got a ton of products here in the background. A lot of these are going to be going into the next issue of PVD. Some of them I'll talk about on the channel. And we've got all our, well, I'm starting to gather the fallout removers up now. And I'm going to do like a little mini best of fallout remover, which is looking to test these reactive fallout removers. At least 10 of them, 10 rated ones. So we'll be doing that very shortly. And then there'll be some other videos. I've got a list of them, like I'm always saying, so I'm going to keep knocking them out as the weeks roll on. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you had a good weekend, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.